Hi, my name is Abigail Myers. I chose the topic supporting English language learners in the classroom. This topic is important to me for a lot of reasons. I am actively trying to become an ESOL teacher right now. I spent my first year teaching abroad in Taiwan, teaching English as a foreign language, and that kind of ignited my passion. So, when thinking about a topic that relates to diversity in education, this was the first thing that popped into my mind. So, thinking about why this topic is important. There is an increasing population of English language learners in our country as a whole. And because of that, we need to make sure that our teachers are well equipped to work with these students and support these students. Because when they step into our classroom, we are their teacher, and we need to make sure that we are doing what we can to show them that they matter and that they have a voice. Through my research, I found that there is a lack of cohesive understanding amongst educators of um, ways to support ESOL English language learners, and ways to support them and ways to advocate for them. And this is due to a lack of professional development. Most schools only have a few ESOL teachers, but as the population of English language learners grows, I foresee this changing. So um, it's just important that educators feel equipped to handle this upcoming change. And then also, there is a constant stream of misunderstandings and stereotypes that surround this group of students. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later, but um, I thought it would be very important to address those misunderstandings and those common stereotypes because I myself held them, um, and had to reflect on that, um, as I'm sure many others will have to as well. So, some common themes I found in my research is that professionals feel ill equipped working with English language learners, and that is really due to a lack of understanding of these students and how they learn. Um, and what I mean by that is a lot of the times relationship building comes from having conversations, and you can't always do that with an English language learner because they don't always have that basic um, language development yet. And so that can make it very hard for teachers to feel like they can engage with these students and they to feel like they can support these students. And then in addition to that, there is just a lack of support for professionals in feeling like they know what strategies to use and what to implement in their classroom to support these students. There were two articles that I researched about. One of them was Perceptions of Teachers Towards English Language Learners and Content Accessibility, and Exploration of ELL Student Media Access Growth um, through these school years. And both of these articles addressed the need for professional development. The first article or the second one I mentioned about WIDA growth, actually had a school implement a professional learning tool for teachers to utilize, and it ended up showing a lot of growth in students' language acquisition. And then the other article just discussed how teachers generally feel ill equipped to work with these students and they would like to advocate for that professional development. Another common theme that I found is that academics come with language acquisition. So it's really easy for teachers to be like, oh, they're failing everything. But most often, they're failing everything because they don't have the language skills. And as they develop the language skills, their academic abilities will grow as well. So I did find a couple articles that kind of discuss strategies that you can utilize in the classroom to support that academic language and growth and to support that language development and growth, which will be helpful for educators to implement in their own classroom when they're working with English language learners. And then finally, there's a general misunderstanding of English language learners, and that ranges from parent involvement to student academic ability and everything in between. It's easy when you can't communicate with words to allow misunderstandings and stereotypes to seep in because you can't necessarily be told otherwise. That's a common theme, but the reality is that these students can understand that, and they can see that they're being isolated, or they can see that they're being misunderstood, and that does it it affects their self-efficacy and their motivation. And so some of the articles I chose really focus on addressing these stereotypes and misunderstandings to allow for, reflection and um, I guess just understanding, so that educators can feel more equipped to work with these students in a way that is positive for them and for you. Um, so the implications of my research is going to be advocacy, and I mean advocacy for the students. How can we as educators advocate for our English language learners to make sure they're getting what they need? How can we advocate for our professional community to make sure we're getting what we need to support these students? Because at the end of the day, we're the voice for those who don't have one. And when kids come from a completely different place or environment, um, with completely new language, it can be extremely overwhelming. And we want to make sure that they know that their teacher is doing whatever they can to get them what they need. The second implication is support. And a lot like advocacy, it's our job to support these learners and to support professionals who are going to be working with these learners in order to um, provide them with the most opportunities and success as possible. And then finally, the last implication is connection. I mean, everyone just wants to feel connected. And in utilizing the strategies that my research discusses, um, clarifying the stereotypes and misunderstandings and all that, it allows for greater connections with students and families that will ultimately help them in the future. So this was my research. I am looking forward to synthesizing it a little bit more. Thank you for watching. Here are my references.